Hello everyone, students. Today we are discussing about disaster management. What do you mean by disaster management, students? Disaster management means disaster we can define as a serious disruption in the functioning of the community or a society causing widespread material, economic, social, or environmental losses which exceed the ability of the affected society to cope using its own resources. Understand, students? What a disaster? In your language, disaster means, students, when you talk about the disaster, when you didn't get what you require and what are your desires, you say what the disaster it is. My life become disaster. In the same way that you are using with your life, with your family, for small, small things you are feeling like the life have no meaning. Same in the language disaster is defined. Disaster is not from the small things. Disaster means when there is a serious disruption. Serious means when there is a disruption at a very high level. It is so much serious that when the community is functioning or society, it's creating the loss to the society and community in terms of economical, social, environmental, and material that are stopping them to exceed the ability of the affected society so that they can use its own resources. I hope it's clear in the mind of your students that disaster is defined as a serious disruption means it is a very, very serious disruption that the society can't be able to use its own resources. It is the loss of at every level. It is the loss at the widespread material, economical, social, and environmental. And loss is so much that it exceeds the ability of the affected society to cope with its own resources. That the person ability get demolished or get decreased. The person can't be able to cope up with his own resources. Disaster risk management. What is disaster risk management? It includes, now disaster is there. Nobody can't able to assume it's disaster as it is on the future and future is uncertain. We have another term with the disaster which we say disaster risk management. A disaster is a risky process. So disaster risk management includes sum total of all activities, programs and measures which can be taken up before, during and after a disaster with the purpose to avoid a disaster, reduce its impact or recover from its losses. Clear, students? Firstly, what is disaster? Disaster means serious loss. Loss on the aspect the individual is not able to use his resources or individual ability get reduced or the loss is so much that it is beyond its ability to use its own resources. Now, how we manage the risk of disaster? It means the sum total of all the activities, programs, measures which the individual can be taken during and after a disaster. The purpose of this is whether the disaster can be avoided or its impact can be reduced or if disasters already occurred so we can recover from its losses. Disaster risk, जैसे we can say we do insurance. Why the insurance has been done? Term insurance we take, life insurance is take. It is one of the part of the disaster risk management. If the person who is earning in our family goes suddenly to get dead, what will happen? Every person doesn't know what to do and doesn't have any type of finance in its hand because earning member have been called by the God. So what this insurance do? Insurance were done so that we can recover at that time of losses. We do car insurance for what? Because if the car gets fully damaged and we require a lot of fund to maintain that car, that insurance helps us to recover that loss. So why you are doing this insurance? You are doing the insurance for the recovering of the loss of it or for the risk management. That is the risk management. That is a technique of risk management, that insurance. So disaster risk management includes some total of our activities, programs and measures which can be taken up before, during and after disaster with a purpose to avoid the disaster, reduce its impact or recover from its losses. Now there are three key stages of activities that are taken up within disaster risk management. There are three stages of activities which included under the risk management of disaster. First one, pre. Second one, occurrence of disaster. And third one, post. Now what will be happening at the pre-disaster? Before disaster, activities taken to reduce human and property loss caused by a potential hazard. Pro मतलब disaster आने से पहले. Activities which were taken so that the loss that can came, we will take pre-measures so that the loss can be reduced. For it, what can we do? We can have the awareness campaign. We can strengthen out the existing weak structure. We prepare the disaster management plans at household and community level. Such risk reduction measures can be taken as mitigation and preparedness activities. As for example, when it was assumed that flood can came, or whether according to the weather conditions flood can came and the water level can increase. So what government do and what the people do? They start taking measures so that if flood came, then it will not create so much of loss to their homes. They get prepared for that. If any structure of them is weak, they try to make it strong. They take several precautionary measures so that the loss from that flood will be done at the minimum level. So this is, we don't know that will be happen or not, but if we are assuming or it is anticipated that it can be happen, earthquake can come, flood can come, global warming is there. What is a pre-disaster activity? We are planting, we can plant more and more trees. We can aware more and more individuals. We can aware to use less water, to waste less water, to have more. So we are now the government is getting campings for the solar energy. So why this is all happening? This is all doing. This is all are the pre-disaster activities that we are undertaking so that the loss the disaster can make can be reduced. But several times we can't able to anticipate the disaster and disaster get occurred. What can we do at that time? So initiatives are taken to ensure the needs and provisions of victims are met. Rehabilitation centers, resettlement centers are made. Several provisions have been made so that the victims who have been suffered, their injuries can be recovered, their injuries can be cured, medical care, mental care can be given to them. And obviously the loss that occurred to the individuals can be reduced. The compensation for them can be given. Then after disaster, when disaster is happened, then also the purpose is to do the early recovery, rehabilitation of affected communities, response recovery activities done. During a disaster also, activities taken is as an emergency response activities. Persons are going so that the peoples can be protected, as we have seen at the Kedarnath time. As they came to know that disaster happened, several initiatives have been taken, several provisions have been taken, so that the persons should be kept alive. They can be taken out alive. Their lives can be saved. Several helicopters and the rescue teams go so that the peoples can be protected. They can be provided with the necessary measures. Their needs and their provisions can be done. That is on the time of a disaster because we can't control at that time disaster. And obviously, several provisions taken to control that disaster so that disaster suffering can be minimized. So, in disaster risk management, three stages are very crucial. One, when you know about the disaster, you are anticipating or you are assuming about the disaster, you can have the pre-disaster activities, which will make you more active or it helps you to minimize the loss. During a disaster, you can make the various provisions according to the requirement of victim so that the sufferings can be minimized and the provisions and the needs of the victims can be given and more persons can be provided with the safety activities. After disasters, rehabilitation centers and resettlement centers can be provided so that recovery can be done. Next, this is all about the disaster management. Now, what are the disasters? Disasters happen due to what reasons? Disasters happens due to earthquake, due to flood. What is the earthquake? Is it natural hazard or is it created? Why earthquake happen? What is the reason of earthquake happen in the country? We can save the earthquake or not? Students, earthquake is the one of the most destructive natural hazard. It can occur at any time of the year, day or night, with sudden impact and the little warning. The basic problem is why earthquake is that we feel the earthquake, but earthquake give only very little warming. They can destroy buildings and infrastructure in seconds, killing or injuring the inhabitants. Earthquakes not only destroy entire habitation, but may destabilize the government, economy, and social structure of the country. Understand, student? You feel the very in a joke way. Earthquake came, earthquake came. You just came out of your house. Oh, I feel like this. I just feel that something is rounding in my mind and anything. Oh, earthquake is there. It is already very second. No, students. It is very destructive. You are lucky that the destruction has not happened. But if the volume of that earthquake increase, if the density of that earthquake increase, it can destroy buildings and buildings infrastructure in seconds. It can kill or injure many of inhabitants. It is thus the shaking of the surface of earth due to the sudden release of energy in the earth crust. As a result, one wave is created and this determines the intensity of the earthquake. If the intensity of the earthquake get increased and the surface of the earth shake at the very high level, it can destroy all the buildings and every inhabitant in a seconds. It can destabilize the government, economy, and the social structure of the country. Now, what are the causes of earthquake? Earth crust is a rocky layer of varying thickness, ranging from a depth of about 10 kilometers under the sea to 65 kilometers under the continents. The crust is not one piece but consists of portions called plates, which vary in size from few hundred to thousands of kilometers. The theory of plate holds that the plates ride up on the more mobile mantle and driven by some yet unconfirmed mechanism, perhaps thermal convection currents. When these plates contact each other, stress arises in the crust and it results in the earthquake. An earthquake provides very little warming. You can't able to know that earthquake is going to come. And it created a very shiftness in the surface of the earth, shakiness in the surface of earth, and which lead to the sudden release of energy in the earth crust. Our earth is round, but it is not the one piece. It contains of various portions. We name them like a plates. And these plates are of various sizes. Some are of 100 kilometers or some are of 10,000 of kilometers. They all plates are on the mobile mental, means they get moving. And they are driving, but they were moved by some, don't know through which mechanism. It is not clear. Perhaps thermal convection currents. But when these plates come in contact with each other, the stress arises in the crust and then earthquake occur. So earthquake occur due to the reason of this clays. Now earthquake can be described by the use of two distinctively different scales of measurement, demonstrative magnitude and intensity. Earthquake magnitude or amount of energy released is determined by the use of seismograph, which is an instrument that continuously records ground vibration. And the scale was developed by seismologist named Charles Richter, who continuously records the vibration of the ground. And when the vibration of the ground increases, it recorded in that scale. But many a times it gets recorded after coming, but before earthquake is coming, it gives very less warnings. So damage can be at the large scale. Adverse effect, physical damage can be occurred to human settlement, building, structure, infrastructure, especially bridges, roads, railways, water towers, pipelines, electrical generating facilities. After shocks of an earthquake can cause much greater damage to already weakened structure. So, earthquake actually cause greater damage if your structure is relatively weak. Because if the shakiness of the earth is very low also, but your structure is weak, it easily destroys that structure. So earthquake is a disaster. It is one of the disaster method, natural disaster, which create the environment in a way.